All right, let's dive right in, shall we? Today, we're tackling Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
A powerful book, definitely.
It's fascinating because it comes out of these incredibly dark, like darkest experiences, right?
Frankl's time in Nazi concentration camps.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not just a story about survival.
Not at all.
It's more about how do we find meaning, no matter what life throws at us.
Right, even in the toughest situations.
Have you ever thought about, like, what really keeps people going when things are just awful?
Like, what's that inner strength?
Exactly.
Mm.
That's what we're getting into today.
So to start, we got to understand the context, right? Frankl's journey starts when he arrives at Auschwitz. And he doesn't just describe the physical stuff, the hardship.
It goes deeper.
Way deeper. He talks about that psychological impact. You're stripped of your identity, your things, everything you know.
Just totally dehumanizing.
Absolutely. Reduced to a number.
Do you think that initial shock, that disbelief, did that serve a purpose?
Interesting. It's like maybe a way for the mind to protect itself, from just being completely overwhelmed by the horror.
It's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, maybe.
There's this story Frankl tells. He asks the prisoner what they think of the smoke coming from the chimney.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And the prisoner just says, shit.
It's bleak, but
so powerful, like that one word just sums up the despair.
yeah.
And Frankl noticed prisoners went through these distinct phases, mentally and emotionally.
He outlined 3, didn't he?
Yeah. So first, that shock, but then
Apathy.
it's like they shut down emotionally.
It's a way to survive, though.
To cope.
Exactly. You conserve energy, just focus on basic needs. And your old values from the outside world, those fade away.
Because survival's the only thing that matters now.
Right.
And that third phase, depersonalization, that comes later.
Right, after liberation.
Freedom is there, but they struggle with it,
It's like they're still trapped.
even though they're physically free.
It really shows you the impact of trauma, how long it lasts.
It's amazing, though, that even in this horrible environment, Frankl observed prisoners finding bits of meaning
Little things.
in unexpected places.
Absolutely. They'd share their food, even though they barely had any, or just offer a kind word.
Small acts of kindness.
And they clung to memories, their loved ones.
It's like holding on to those memories kept them human.
Yeah, those mental images gave them strength. Some even found beauty in nature,
A little sliver of sky.
Just a tiny bit of hope.
It's about holding on to anything that reminds you you're still human, and everyone else is too.
Even when it feels like the world is trying to tell you otherwise. And then there's that story about Frankl talking to his wife in his head.
While marching to work,
He didn't even know if she was alive.
it's incredible. The power of our minds.
Those conversations kept him going, It shows the power of love and inner freedom.
That's what meaning is all about, isn't it?
Choosing your thoughts, your attitude,
And then there's Frankl's choice to stay with his patients.
rather than escape.
When he had the chance,
Powerful stuff. He could have saved himself, but he felt responsible.
he found meaning in caring for others.
That's the beginning of logotherapy right there.
That idea that meaning can come from our actions, choosing
Yeah.
to be bigger than ourselves.
Yeah. It's amazing to think Frankl's experience, as awful as it was, led him to help so many others find meaning in their lives.
And that's what we'll explore next, is
Okay.
like those experiences really, I don't know, forged his thinking, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It makes sense he'd go on to develop this whole framework
Therapy, yeah.
of finding meaning. So at the core of this, it's the idea that searching for meaning, that's our main drive.
It's like the most basic human instinct, Even more than pleasure or power.
So everyone's looking for it, deep down.
Yeah, it's in all of us.
But what if you can't find it? Like, what happens then?
Frankl calls that the existential vacuum. Have you ever felt that emptiness?
Ooh, yeah.
Like something's missing, even if you have everything you thought you wanted.
Oh, big time. I think everyone listening has felt that at some point.
It's not just some, philosophical problem,
Yeah.
right? It's real life.
Totally.
And Frankl he cited this study from Vienna. Almost 30% of people said they felt that lack of meaning.
Wow. That's a lot.
Hmm.
So if meaning is so important, how do we actually find it? Is there, like, a universal answer?
That's where it gets interesting. Frankl didn't think so. He said meaning, it's not objective.
It's not just sitting out there waiting.
Nope. It's unique to each person and each situation. He had this analogy about a chess master.
Oh, I like analogies.
So in chess, there's no one best move.
Right, it depends.
It all depends on what's happening in the game, the context.
So finding meaning, it's not about the answer, it's about your answer.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. But how do we even begin to figure that out? Like, what's my meaning?
Well, Frankl gives us some tools to like combat that existential vacuum. One is paradoxical intention.
Paradoxical intention.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. You confront your fear directly.
Head on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He gives this example of a doctor terrified of sweating. So what he did was he tried to sweat as much as possible.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. By doing that, by like embracing the fear, he actually overcame it.
So it's like reverse psychology almost.
Kinda, but deeper. It's about breaking that cycle of like anxiety and avoidance.
Oh, I get it. And then there's, what was it, de-reflection?
Yeah, de-reflection. It's about shifting your focus outwards. Instead of dwelling on your own problems, you focus on a task, a relationship, something meaningful.
Like help a friend who's going through something rough.
Exactly. It's about getting out of your own head, connecting to something bigger.
And that ties into self-transcendence, right?
You got it. That's about purpose beyond just like personal gratification.
Doing something for others.
Volunteering, supporting a cause, even just being there for your loved ones, like Frankl staying with his parents in the camp when he could have escaped.
It's powerful stuff. So logotherapy isn't just about feeling good. It's about contributing, making a difference. And this really resonated with Frankl's patients, right?
Oh, yeah. There's this story about a rabbi. He lost his whole family in Auschwitz.
That's heartbreaking.
He was consumed by grief, questioning why he survived. So Frankl, he helped him by shifting his perspective.
How do you do that?
He asked, "What would your wife have wanted for you?"
Oh, wow.
And the rabbi realized she wouldn't have wanted him to give up. That gave him a new purpose, to honor her memory by living a meaningful life.
Finding meaning from tragedy, it's incredible. But some might say it's, I don't know, too simple. Like, just choose to find meaning, especially after something so awful.
Frankl knew suffering was real. He wasn't saying go look for it. But meaning can be found despite suffering, especially when it can't be avoided, like his own experience in the camps, right?
He didn't choose to be there.
But he chose how he reacted, how to find meaning even in that darkness.
So even when we lose everything, we still have the power to choose our attitude, how we see things.
Exactly. And this idea, it resonated with people way beyond the camps. Man's Search for Meaning became this huge bestseller, translated into tons of languages. It went beyond just psychology.
It's interesting. His own life kind of became an example of his theory. There's that story, a student asked him what his meaning was, and he said,
Helping others find theirs.
boom. Right on the money. It's like even this deep dive we're doing, it's part of that. Exploring these ideas, seeing how they fit into our lives. So wrapping up our deep dive into Man's Search for Meaning, what are the big takeaways? Like what really stuck with you from Frankl's work?
You know, it's that reminder. Meaning isn't something like out there in the world waiting for you.
You just stumble across it.
Right. It's not about getting stuff or achieving something.
It's internal.
Yeah, it's about your inner strength, how you choose to deal with stuff, you know?
Attitude.
And focusing on the things that really matter, your values, your people, what you're here for.
It's like we have this muscle we can build up, the ability to find meaning even when things are rough.
Oh, totally. Like a mental muscle.
And Frankl, he gives us the tools, right?
Absolutely.
Paradoxical intention, de-reflection, all that stuff.
It's not just talking about the problem. He's giving you ways to actually do something.
Take action.
Yeah, to move from like feeling lost to having a purpose.
But he's also clear that everyone's search is different.
Right? Definitely. He uses that chess analogy, remember?
Oh, yeah, the chess master.
There's no single best move.
It's all about the context.
Your game, your life.
But his insights coming from those experiences, it's like a guide, you know?
A roadmap to help you find your own way.
And that's what's so powerful. Even in the camps, with all that suffering, he found meaning. Not because it was good, but because he chose to.
He focused on what he could control.
His attitude, his actions, his inner world.
When everything else was stripped away.
It's a reminder, we always have that choice, how we react, how we make sense of things.
Even when it feels like we have no choices left.
So for someone listening, wanting to connect with meaning, what's one step they can take today?
Maybe a small act of, like, self-transcendence.
What do you mean?
Reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while, volunteer for a cause you care about, or just tell someone you love them.
Get out of your head, focus on something bigger.
Exactly.
That's a great place to end, I think. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Man's Search for Meaning.
My pleasure. It's been a great conversation.
And to everyone listening, keep exploring Frankl's work. And most importantly, keep searching for that meaning in everything you do.